Hey, before we get started, man, I want to congratulate you on your recent success, man. You've been killing it. You've had some sort of mental evolution or something like that. I could tell in your gameplay because I used to watch you before and you were confident, but something has happened in your psyche where you're even more confident. So congrats on all that.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's definitely been like a big change in my gameplay. I don't even know when it happened. Just at some point over the past like 6 months, definitely something has changed.
Do you think it has anything to do with placements, or you're just thinking about the game different?
I would say that I feel like I'm just thinking about the game different, but it's hard to say if like that's part of confidence I've gained from placing better. Because I think I kind of started playing a lot better around like Intel World Open is when I would say I really started to improve. So I don't know if I just started gaining a better understanding of the game and getting more confidence because of that, or if I started getting more confidence because I won Intel World Open. It's hard to say.
Oh, okay. Actually, in prepping for this interview, I actually learned a lot about you because I didn't even know you had an interview with Born Free, so I took a look at that to make sure I wasn't asking you a bunch of repeat questions, but I learned a lot from there. And then I went back in your history. I was like, dude, this guy's been actually working for a long time. You posted up a video. You tried to get in the Street Fighter League a couple years ago, and you made like a promotional video like about what your achievements are and all that. So it helped me kind of backtrack to where you've been. And so you actually been putting in work for a long time. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say yeah. Like I think most people have not like really known me until I don't know. I think a lot of people heard about me when I beat Daiko. That was like what everyone brings up when they talk about me. But especially if you were in like around the West Coast, there's definitely a lot of work I was putting in like 2017, 2018 even.
Yeah, I think you were freaking like 15 or something when you really started to get into it, right? Or 16?
Yeah, 15.
Yeah. That's wild. And a good time too. But so when I was watching that Born Free interview, you said something about you were a Smash player, but then your brother kept pressuring you to play Street Fighter 4, which is funny because that's exactly what happened to me when my brother was playing Street Fighter. I was playing Tekken. And you were reluctant to get into it, but then you did. But you never really talked about like when you decided to take it super serious, because to get to your level at some point you had to lock down and be like, okay, I'm trying to get good at this. So when did that happen?
It definitely was Street Fighter 5 that inspired me to like start trying to actually get good, because I remember Street Fighter 4 I got into it like mad late, so obviously I was not able to get good at Street Fighter 4 in like the 6 months I had before Street Fighter 5 came out.
Oh, so we started at the same time. That's crazy.
Oh, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there were that many other people that are getting in like super late into Street Fighter 4 lifespan. But yeah, so I remember when Street Fighter 5 came out, even though it was season 1, like objectively, it was like kind of trash. I enjoyed it so much just because it was like the first time where I was going in with like some experience in Street Fighter 4, even if it was just a little bit, it helped give me that edge. So like right when the game came out, I remember I was like beating a whole bunch of people just on ranked and stuff, and it was such a great feeling because at that point there was never another competitive game that I was really that good at. So even though Street Fighter 5 I was not actually good, just beating up on these other people in the silver rank made me feel like a god and made me want to keep playing the game.
Yeah.
But when I started like actually going to locals and competing, I would say that's what gave me motivation to improve.
Hell yeah.
And it's hard to like pinpoint a point where I was like, okay, I'm taking this like super seriously right now. I pretty much would just compete in like local tournaments, which is really good because they had like Red Bull Proving Ground stuff 2016, 2017. So there are a whole bunch of like monthly tournaments to compete in, and I pretty much just kept playing because I wanted to try and win one of those.
So was there anything other than it being on sale that finally made you leap into it? Because you said something about like, oh, it was on sale, so I just happened to get it, but there was nothing else about the game that interested you?
I mean, it was really just my brother kept telling me to buy it, and then he was like, hey, the game is on sale. So like, I don't even remember how much it was. It was like $5 or something. So he's like, you have no excuse not to get the game. So I was like, fine, I'll buy Street Fighter 4.
Wow. It was actually the people know about the story, but it's actually like the commentary after watching like the 25th anniversary or something, because I had already been playing it, but there was some point where I literally was like, right after tonight, I'm gonna like dive in like crazy and go hard. And it was actually listening to James Chen and Ultra David. Did you have something similar like that? That was an outside source of it, or you were playing it and then you're like, actually this game's kind of sick, I'm just gonna like go for it?
I would say it's mostly just playing it and realize like, oh, this game is actually really fun. Because I think within like 2 months, I pretty much stopped playing Smash entirely and was just playing Street Fighter 4.
Damn.
Like, I remember thinking like, damn, he was, my brother was actually right. Like this game is amazing.
So were you ever good at Smash?
I was not good, no. I was like, I would actually compete in tournaments every now and then, but I mean, I would just get smoked. I was definitely not ever like a competitive threat whatsoever in that game.
So I have here that your first major was SCR 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Like your first like relevant tournament.
I did actually, fun story, I did actually go to Northwest Majors 2016, and I went 0-2.
Oh, okay.
That was technically my first major for Street Fighter 5, but my first CPT event for Street Fighter 5 was SCR 2017. Or actually, no, that was a CPT event. So
yeah.
First CPT event was Northwest Majors 2016. Yeah, and I got smoked.
Oh, okay.
SCR 2017, I did not get smoked. So
yeah, no, actually, I have it right here. I was thinking this was your first major tournament, and there you kind of lost a Velociraptor in pools, but then you won the run back, and then you beat Stupendous and K-Brad. Were those your first two like super relevant wins to you at that time? Were those your most relevant wins?
Yeah, by far.
Hell yeah.
It's like I remember beating K-Brad specifically was such a huge shock to me because K-Brad was like, he was extremely like on point in that game.
No, at that time, yeah, K-Brad was something else at that time, yeah.
Yeah. So
and then you lost to Jesse, but so what did that put you at? 7th place, or where did that put you? I can't remember.
13th, I think. 13th.
Dang.
So I remember Jesse. I think Jesse played one more after that and made top 8. So yeah, I'd be 13th.
So the first time I heard about you actually was from GLB, who might be in the chat. It was at Combo Breaker, I think 2018, and I think there you were still only using Guile primarily, like as your main. I think I can't remember if it was Combo Breaker 2017 or 18, but that's when the first time he pointed at you and said like, "This dude ChrisCCH." You were just playing casuals, but I think you were using Guile. That's the first time I heard about you. But are you a tier whore?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it kind of depends because I was playing Sakura in season 4. She wasn't really that good at Street Fighter in season 4, but every other character I've ever played has just been because they're broken. Like I said, G broken, I'm playing him. Seth broken. Now Luke broken. I play broken characters and also Sakura. That's it.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a character that you like aesthetically or has some cool moves that you like, but if they're powerful, you kind of like that part. That's the most important part.
Kind of. I mean, it's definitely very important that I like how they play. Like, I'm not the kind of person who'll just pick up any top tier and just try to like fit my style to how they play. I pretty much just look for characters that when I play them, like I play tons and tons of characters just for fun, but sometimes I'll play a character and be like, wow, I feel like this character really fits the way I want to play, and it's also incredibly strong, so I'm just gonna play them.
So Guile doesn't really fit that then, or did you think you were gonna move away from him eventually?
Yeah, I remember ever since like season 3, I was waiting for that character to get nerfed, or maybe in like season 2, I was waiting for him to get nerfed because I didn't necessarily want to play him. I kind of wanted to move on to other characters, but he just kept not getting nerfed, so I was like, well, I can't stop playing him. He's too good. Yeah, I felt like the way I really wanted to play the game didn't match up that well with Guile, like stylistically, but I couldn't like drop him as a main when he was just so good for so long. And then like the second he got nerfed from like a top tier to a high tier character in season 4, I jumped ship and went to other characters.
Right. So what about now then? He still doesn't quite cut it?
Yeah, I think he's just, especially now, I think the way you have to play Guile, he has a very unique style in this season, for sure. I remember I tried playing him at the start of the season, and I just couldn't really. I think his style, he's definitely a good character, I just think his style does not match up very well with the way I want to play.
I hear you. I mean, it looks like Luke's fitting pretty well. I think right when I hopped into your stream the other day, you're like, you haven't lost a single set in Wednesday night fights, right? But then this last Wednesday you lost to, I think you finally lost a set but still won the whole thing.
Yeah, I lost to a set to Filipino Man.
Yeah.
I ran him back in grand finals, so.
Oh shoot, okay.
It was okay.
Yeah, so needless to say, I mean, it seems like he fits your playstyle pretty well. And one thing I always notice about your stream, and I always mention when you get brought up in this stream, is that you're never not paying attention. It seems like you're always, if someone asks you a question, it's like you have an answer, and if you don't have an answer, you go right into training mode and you like try to figure it out. And I think that's what separates you. I honestly think that, I don't know if you ever had a goal of like, I'm gonna be one of the best American players, but I genuinely think if you're not there already, you can be there. And so do you currently have the goal of, I'm gonna one day be the best?
Kind of. It's hard because I always set like a goal of just trying to get as good at the game as I can be. I don't really like setting a goal to be the best, because I do think like when it comes down to it, especially the highest level, there's definitely a lot of, you know, natural talent in the game that will come into play. So my mindset is pretty much just like, I just want to work as hard as I can so I can be the best player that I can be with you know, natural talent that I do have.
Mm-hmm.
But setting a goal to be the best is hard, because there might just be someone that is just so talented that no matter how much hard work you put in, well, not as long as, like, you know, as a talented person who's also putting in a lot of hard work, those two are not separable. But, you know, it can be kind of like mess with your head if you can't become the best because there's someone who just has so much natural talent and also works so hard. So I definitely try to be the best that I can be, but I don't know if I would say I had that goal of necessarily being absolutely the best. I will say that I set a goal of becoming the best player on the West Coast when the pandemic and everything started.
Oh, like there we go. Okay, there's a little something. There's a little something.
Yeah. Just I was like, right now we're only competing with just the West Coast, so that seemed like a pretty good goal.
Well, at some point you must have thought to yourself. I was actually talking about this yesterday, where you have this. I ask people about their goals, and they'll say something like, "I want to do good at my locals," or "I want to get top 16, top 8." At some point, you've had to have the clearness in your head, the clarity to say, I'm trying to win this fucking thing. Did you even have that all the way back in SCR? Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't go to tournaments thinking I can win this whole thing, and I think that holds up most players back to not set some sort of goal like that. Like, if you don't have aspirations of winning a tournament, I just don't see how that's gonna happen. So at some point you must have thought, I'm gonna try to win this thing.
Yeah, at SCR 2017, I definitely didn't have that mindset. I was like, the idea of winning that tournament was just absurd to me. So yeah. I definitely didn't feel like I could win. I just wanted to go as far as I could and have a good experience for my first major. And there have definitely been moments where I'm entering tournaments still, but don't feel like I can win them. But not so much recently. I would even go back to Intel World Open, where I saw okay, there's I don't even remember how many people entered, but it was the biggest tournament on the West Coast since the pandemic had started. And that was the first one where I was like, okay, this is going to be an extremely hard tournament, but I still feel like I can win. And that was kind of the first big tournament that I really felt like I had that confidence, because I can't really think back to any other, for example, a premier event. I don't think there's ever been a premier event offline that I entered thinking I could actually win the whole thing. But if offline were to come back now, I think that'd be very different.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, Red Bull Kumite was so sick. On another note, was your interview with Born Free before or after EVO? If you can remember.
I think it was at Red Bull NA Finals 2018, so after EVO.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
something like November.
Another stat that I learned that I didn't know is that in 2018 you actually got 17th at EVO. I didn't know that. And you beat Itazan, Nauman, and Momi.
Yeah, that was quite a wild run.
Yeah, so, but actually I looked and I couldn't find any of your fucking matches. There was no pools matches, unless, was there, that I missed? But I couldn't find anything on that. So I don't know if you were using Sakura at that point.
Nah, I was still using exclusively Guile, and it was unfortunate. My entire run was off stream. I never played a single on-stream match.
Oh, okay.
But I will say one match for that tournament still haunts me, because you saw in winners I lost to Gachikun, and that match actually went to last game, last round, literally one guess for the set. And I remember, I think he just threw me when I thought for sure he was gonna respect my flash kick, because I had flash kicked him 10 times in the set already.
Damn.
And this dude still just kept going for media pressure. And I just remember he threw me there, and I could not believe at all he did not respect my flash kick.
Damn.
It haunts me to this day. I should have just done the 11th one.
So that's who sent you to losers, or that's who took you out?
That's who sent me to losers, and then Kaba, I'm not gonna lie, Kaba kind of smoked the hell out of me in the mirror in losers.
Oh shoot.
And then beat Daigo in the mirror right after, so I felt a little bit less bad about it.
Damn, so Nauman was using Sakura.
No, Nauman wasn't using Sakura either, because Sakura was like season 3 soccer was absolutely atrocious.
Oh, okay.
character.
So I actually don't remember who Nauman was using. Who were they using before that?
He was using Ken.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, so let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, so Canada Cup 2019. Finally, we get to Canada Cup 2019, and people already know that's what you said. I even used it for the trailer for promotional. Is when you beat Daigo, and so just standings aside, because I know that didn't place you higher in a tournament than ever before. But was that psychologically your biggest win, like the one where you felt like you ascended after that, or did you have one that was actually bigger, like K-Brad in his like prime?
I think I'd probably call that my biggest win. Well, one thing I will actually say, I think my biggest win that a lot of people don't know about is SCR 2018. I beat Fudo in my pool, and it was just off stream, so I think a lot of people don't know about that one. But I feel like that was probably, it's hard to say who's the best player I've ever beaten because it's all relative to how well they're performing at the time.
Right.
But Fudo was like winning or doing the Fudo Classic and getting second at tons of premieres at that time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was probably the best player, at the moment that I'd ever beaten. But Daigo was definitely up there, and also I beat him on stream, which is kind of different because it was a very different reaction when you just beat someone offline pools or you beat them on stream. So I definitely felt really proud about that, and it was kind of an interesting situation because Canada Cup, they kept switching around the pools so much, and I'm the type of player who really likes to prepare for whoever it is that's in my pool, whatever really good players are in my pool. But I had no idea who I was playing because they literally finalized the pools Friday, and then the tournament started on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I had a couple hours to prepare for Daigo, and it seemed to still work out. But I remember feeling not really nervous, but it was a little bit of a different experience because I didn't have that much of a clear strategy planned out in advance for Daigo. I just had to come up with one quickly.
So you would be more interested in winning than actually having. I think a lot of people would look at seeing Daigo and be like, oh, whatever happens, at least I had the experience of playing against Daigo. But at the end of the day, you still gotta win. So it didn't change your perspective. The fact that you're going up against Daigo, I think a lot of these guys have a tendency to think, well, if you run into this person in a bracket, that it's well worth the tournament if you lose to this guy, and that's obviously not a good way to think if you're trying to get somewhere in a tournament. But did you have any thoughts like that, or were you clearly thinking, how do I beat this son of a bitch?
Okay, I'm definitely only ever thinking about how I beat someone. It's kind of weird, I would say, actually, is that when I think about tournaments and my matches before they actually happen, I play in advance, my confidence seems much lower than when I'm actually playing in a match. Whenever I'm actually playing in a match, I almost always have a very high amount of confidence that I can win.
Yeah.
It's just when I'm thinking the tournament overall, I could say, oh, I don't feel like I can really win this tournament, but then every match in the tournament I play, I'm gonna have a lot of confidence that I can still win the set. So it's kind of weird. But I think it's a very helpful thing for me that whenever I'm actually playing, I'm confident and I'm not making bad decisions because I have a lack of confidence or anything.
That's crazy. Yeah, we'll talk about Kumite in a second. But when did UYU pick you up shortly after that, after the Daigo thing? Because I feel like the Daigo thing is also giving you the most exposure. So that's probably the win that you got the most reception from.
It was actually quite a while after that. It was March of this year.
Oh, and, shoot.
Daigo thing was November 2019.
Shoot.
Yeah, so I remember it was actually I'd been invited to play in a 3v3 for UIU. It was I think the team was me, Myers, and Filipino Man, and we were playing up against JB, Samurai, and Nephew, which was obviously you hear that team, and especially at the time, that was probably considered the 3 best players on the West Coast, and I won I don't know what my total score and because it was a 15. It was a first to 15 3v3 tournament sort of thing, and I think I went 8-1, maybe 8-2 was my final score, and that's I think when they're very impressed by my performance just playing in that 3v3 for them. They had all the UIU guys on me, and then they started talking to me, and they did also mention, of course, we heard about you after you beat Daigo, and that's when we started looking into you as a player. That's what made them actually want to pick me up, was seeing my performance in that 3v3, and also probably seeing me play in all those WNFs and other online tournaments leading up to that.
I see. So does that mean 2022 is your year, you think? You're definitely. I think you have a really good chance of getting into Capcom Cup the year after that, or the fall, like whatever you would call that. I think this is technically Capcom Cup 2022 coming up. So whatever the year after that, however it works. Yeah. So you definitely have aspirations of that. So you're in for the long haul, you would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already qualified for this Capcom Cup, so that's obviously my goal for now.
Wait, what?
Wait, you didn't know that?
No.
Wait,
what?
if you're looking at my performance,
right?
Okay, I guess it's because I technically did not win a CBT. I got second.
That's okay. I think that's what's throwing me off. Yeah.
I did technically win a CBT, but I am still qualified.
Yeah. Okay, I overlooked that because we were just about to talk about that actually. That's fucking awesome, dude. And because you like to prepare, and you're a preparation player. Yeah, exactly. Because I am a preparation player as well. Like I like to look at, and like this morning for CPT Midwest, I'm sitting here studying my players, and then you hear people say that they think most of it is just like a character matchup, and that if you know how to play the character really well against a character really well, there's only so much a player can do outside of what a character can do. So do you like to see particular options, or just try to get into what this person's thinking on defense? You don't have to give away whole entire strats. I'm just saying, like, does it give you confidence to know what you're going up against?
Yeah, I definitely think that character matchup is very important, but I would also say that player matchup can be equally important. Like, you gotta watch what the player's doing specifically. Yeah. Because if you prepare for all these options with a character that the player going up against just doesn't do, then what the hell is the point? Like you gotta prepare for what the player is doing specifically, and that's what is very helpful in Capcom Cup, because I know all the players that are gonna be in it except for whoever is gonna come out of the absolutely monstrous LCQ tournament. But yeah, I generally prepare for matchups first. Like, you gotta have a good understanding of the character matchup first, but once you understand the character matchup, then I think it's important to prepare for the player and see how they approach it.
I see. So I don't know how long beforehand we're gonna know about the pools, or do we even know the format of how it's gonna work? It's not gonna be like last year, where it was like automatically set a bunch of 1v1s that there's no real bracket. Oh, it's group stages. Is that what it's gonna be?
I think it's at least an in-person tournament from what I can understand, because I know they announced the dates of it. They still have not announced the location, but I believe it is going to be in person. I hope so. And yeah, the rest of the format, no idea.
Well, that being said, we go to Red Bull Kumite, which I had strong confidence that you were gonna go far, and I didn't know how far, but I just knew that I was like, this kid's like, I could just tell your sights are on something further than a lot of other players, and you had a real clutch run. But the one that I actually wasn't 100% sure if you were going to hop on today, so I didn't go over the replay again. But generally on these things, on these strat chats, I like to kind of like go to a particular replay. And then I know you don't have a whole lot of time, so we might not have time for that because we've been talking a bit. But that last game, I think the last one to qualify was versus Shine, right?
Yeah, to qualify was against Shine.
But the most relevant one to me, I think, where you showed your advancement as a player is actually versus Brian F, because I remember when you were down, I remember looking at you and thinking like, you're not out of this game, just because of the way that to be able to stay focused in that situation when you're going down, like, and it was actually kind of fast too, like a little faster than you would think. And after watching it back, I was thinking like, man, this looks kind of rough actually. And I was thinking right here, I kind of doubted you for a second, my mistake. But in that moment there, are you able to actually continue a strategy, or are you trying to were you trying to rethink something, or just fix a particular thing, or just a matter of, I need to stay composed here because I can pull through with this?
I already felt pretty composed. Like, my mental state was in a very surprisingly like just extremely focused state during all of Kumite. I remember it was like such a different experience than offline tournaments before for me, because I would always get not like terrible nerves at offline tournaments, but I'd be pretty shaky. Yeah. And during Kumite, I just had none of that. I don't even know why. Apparently, I just ascended into a different plane of existence, because I was not feeling any sort of nerves or shakiness the whole tournament. But I remember I went back to character select after the first 2 games, and I was mostly just trying to think of not like a different strategy, but just some small adjustments I had to make to my strategy. And the thing I came up with the most was just, I gotta press a lot more standing roundhouse, because the thing about that matchup is that Balk has such good buttons, but he can't use dash punch, so it's all just about navigating those buttons. And that's just what I was trying to figure out exactly how I want to deal with. But yeah, even being down like 2 games, I still felt like I could win, especially because in the LCQ, I remember in grand finals I went down 2 games against JB, and then I won 6 games straight and won the LCQ.
Woo!
Didn't matter that much because we were both already qualified for the LCQ, but doing that the day before playing Brian F did help to give me some confidence that I'm able to make like these super big comebacks.
Yeah.
So I just felt like I needed to make some those small adjustments, and then once I won the first game against Brian, I was like, all right, I'm winning the set. That's really how I felt like after I won the first game. It's like, I just need this and that. Now I'll win the set.
Yeah, I mean that's important to highlight where you said it's just a small adjustment rather than coming up with a whole different strategy. Maybe there's just one thing going wrong, and there's just one little tweak you got to make, and then I don't know where you would. I don't know what exactly would makes you, or what would have given the impression that you got it from there. But if Brian is not able to make one small tweak fast enough, because maybe the pressure is so high, because the only thing that's more pressure than going 0-2 or losing 2 games is probably losing the 3rd game after you've already won 2 and sensing like a comeback happening. So in that moment, I wonder if Brian was able to think like, okay, I don't know what happened there. I don't know what the new thing was, but I'm gonna actually watch it again after this and see how that stand heavy kick was implemented, because that's not what I thought you were gonna say. But I wonder, was it because, what made you think that specifically? Like, what made you think the roundhouse might be the answer there?
Pretty much just because he was throwing out so many pokes, and Bog's pokes are just incredibly hard to deal with. But the way I was trying to approach it felt like it was too of a low reward approach. I was using a lot of like jab buffers and light kick buffers, which don't lead to like fantastic Oki or anything, because medium punch DP Oki, it's kind of weird. But stand heavy kick is an extremely terrifying button for soccer, because you get hit by that and it just puts you in the corner immediately. So I felt like it can sometimes still lose some of his pokes, like it might get hit by a crouch strong buffer anyways, but if I'm hitting it more often than not, it's going to lead to a ton of reward. And I felt like that was my best way to try to convince him to press less buttons in neutral, because he was throwing out so many pokes.
Right.
I was having a lot of trouble navigating around, so I was like, if I press this button and I hit him with it a few times, he's going to have to slow down in neutral and start throwing out less pokes, because the risk of getting hit by this button is just so high. He's going to have to start playing around it. And I will also say, like in regards to, you know, when you're down 0-2 in a set, it's definitely nowhere close to as scary as a feeling as when you were up 2-0 and then you lose 2 games. I've actually been in that exact position a lot. I remember even CPT this year, I was up 5 games against Nephew in grand finals, and then he won 3-0 back. So I know what the feeling of like, a comeback mountain on you. I know the pressure is immense, and that's part of why I had so much confidence against Brian. It's like, okay, I just won 2 games. I know the kind of pressure you're feeling right now. Like it's intense. So that gave me, you know, some extra confidence that if I just kept putting on the pressure, I'd probably be able to win the last game in the set.
Dang. So do you think a previous version of ChrisCCH would have been able to perform that same thing, or do you think it's because of some recent prior success that you were able to? Because I was going to ask you if that was actually the most pressure you ever had, but it actually doesn't sound like it was. Maybe the LCQ was, I don't know. But it doesn't sound like that was the most pressure you've ever had. It sounded like you actually felt like a moment of zen where you're actually able to be in the moment despite all the crap that's going around you, with like Tasty Steve right there, everyone yapping, but you're just locked in. Do you think a previous version of you would have been able to bust through that, or is this a recent kind of like mental ascension that you've had?
I think there's definitely a huge difference in my mental compared to, you know, last time I competed offline. I will say that something I've always known about myself is that early matches in brackets are always the scariest for me, when I'm the most nervous. Like once I've played a few matches in the bracket, I'm starting to like, you know, get more comfortable, and my nerves pretty much go away to some extent. And I will say that the second match I had in the LCQ against Defeatly was probably the most pressure maybe I've ever had in the tournament, because I felt like because Capcom Cup LCQ 2019, I actually lost it to Defeatly. And
really?
And then going into LCQ, first of all, I hate the Sakura Akira matchup. I almost always lose that shit. So that was one thing that was already putting pressure on me. And then I go up against Defeatly. I feel like I need to get my run back, and then I actually go down the first game against him at LCQ. And after going down that first game, I remember feeling quite a lot of pressure. I didn't crack under the pressure or anything. I didn't end up winning the set.
But you felt that,
a lot of pressure after losing that first game.
That's funny because just like the whole Balrog thing, it seems like that -4 meme would play a role in the whole Akira matchup. Does that add any pressure to you, or you don't give really a shit what people think about matchups? But like, you know, the whole -4 meme, and soccer is really bad for Balrog, and I would think Akira too for that same reason. But how much water does that actually hold?
It bothers me a little bit when I hear people talk about those matchups, but it doesn't really affect how I play. Weirdly enough, Akira, almost all of her stuff is really hard to punish. You can like always punish the stand fierce, but not even really, because she can cancel her stand fierce into fireball. Her forward heavy punch is surprisingly easy to space to be safe against Sakura's stand light kick.
Really?
And her stand heavy kick is almost never punishable. Yeah, I mean, you definitely gotta be careful with the forward fierce, but if you space it like well,
it's not free.
Not punishable. And there's a weird thing about Sakura's stand light kick that I think maybe a lot of people don't know. So it has more range in the later active frame. So like the second active frame has more range than the first, and the third has more range than the second. So there's a problem when you are at a spacing where you are unsure if stand light kick is going to punish or not, because there can be a situation where you press stand light kick and then one of the later active frames connect. Yep. But if they're only -4, that means that the stand light kick is going to get blocked. Mm-hmm. And then it blocks, and then you cancel into DP, and all of a sudden you're eating a DP punish. And at least luckily Sakura doesn't get crush counter on hers, but something, going back to the Akira matchup, is that Akira doesn't care because she just does her V skill 2 raw punish anyways, and you eat like 5 billion damage from it. So that's one thing that makes -4 punishes scary, unless you're certain that the stand light kick is going to reach. And Akira's forward heavy punch is one of those buttons where you are usually not sure. Yeah, it makes you kind of second guess every single time they do it, like, should I press there or should I not press there?
But chat, if you have any last minute questions to ask, just throw them up in the chat now and we'll answer them. So what's next for ChrisCCH? What's I mean, obviously prepping for Capcom Cup and just getting yourself in the right space, but continuing to join Wednesday night fights, sticking with Luke for a while, it looks like.
Yeah, I am definitely kind of all in at Luke at the moment. I'm not dropping Sakura or Seth anything, but the character I'm preparing right now is absolutely Luke, and I think he's going to become a real character of mine.
Yeah,
and
it fits pretty well, I have to say.
It's a very good fit. It's hard to, I keep thinking, do I want to pick up a character this close to Capcom Cup? But I feel like I do, because you do have an advantage playing a new character as well. Obviously, I won't be as comfortable as him as I am with Sakura or Seth, but also no one is going to be as comfortable fighting against Luke as fighting against Sakura or Seth. So
I'm free to Luke right now. And I mean, you're already winning weeklies anyway. I mean, I don't know how long it is from now. 2 months, a little over 2 months, something like that. I think that is plenty of time to develop it enough to really have to make people have to think about some like counter strategy to Luke. So it wouldn't be a bad idea. Rob TV asks, are you bringing screenshots to Capcom Cup?
I feel like that'd actually be a little bit boring, because at that point I'm just doing the exact same thing as Rebel Kumite. I think I gotta think up something new.
You don't strike me as someone who'd have like a gimmick like that. Is that something that you've been waiting to do?
Nah, you can blame Anton Filipino Man for that one.
I had a feeling that wasn't your
the idea of the photos. That was not something that I had even considered, but it was a fantastic idea.
Did you have a little bit of remorse when you had Brian's picture in your hand and you looked right at him, and did you feel a little bit of like, this isn't in me to do this, but you just fucking decided to do it anyway?
I didn't look directly at Brian. I actually looked directly at Rob. And I felt no remorse looking at Rob, but if I looked at Brian, I would have felt remorse.
Yeah.
I don't actually have that much against like Brian. I think because the main thing I did all those pop-offs for is because I mentioned before how downplayed I feel like the West Coast is. But I actually have to say that Brian has actually been one of the only people like sticking up for the West Coast.
No, he definitely shined a light on it even more, for sure. And
yeah, so I don't have that much against Brian personally, but he was the one that had to get it.
Yeah, I mean, he said
the tournament. Brian's the one who had to get his paper shredded.
Right. Rob says he knows that he's nicer than you anyway, but that's besides the point. So if you could be any animal, what would you be?
Any animal? Penguin. I mean, you see my Discord avatar over here.
Oh, there you go. Be a penguin. Yeah. They got that swag, that's why. What about Midwest predictions? Before you say anything, I actually think the Midwest region is, I don't want to say it's one of the easier regions in the US, but it doesn't, like, everyone I see in the bracket, and I only consider myself an average high level player. So like in the spectrum of high level players, I put myself like in the low mid of high level players, and even then I think like this isn't that tough. What do you think about it? You can just be honest too.
I will be honest. I mean, I do think Midwest is weaker than East Coast or West Coast, but I do think there are still quite a few good players in there. I was looking through the brackets as well, and it's a bit of a weird region because I will say that if it was just like actually Midwest, I don't know how strong the region would be, but then they've made this region bizarre where you also have like Toronto and Texas,
right?
Which adds a whole new like set of players competing in it. So I do think there are quite a few strong players. My prediction would be that the two players I've been looking at the most to win have been Brian and Dual Kevin. I mean, I'll be honest, I think Rob was probably going to win the tournament, but someone's going to have to come second to him and qualify. It's the nephew situation. I'd be very surprised if someone that not Rob wins the tournament. But I think as for qualifying, I really feel like it's going to come down to Brian versus Dual Kevin. But weirdly enough, Dual Kevin is like not seeded in the tournament at all. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. Like I don't know if the way the bracket is set up, if both Brian and Dual Kevin are going to winners, if they're going to play early in the bracket or something. Yeah, I just remember looking at the bracket and be like, Dual Kevin's so low seeded.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if it's just because he doesn't frequent. Like, I saw him get lagged out last tournament. I feel like he has a little bit of a hard time with certain brackets because he's such a smart player. He's like actually one of the players that early on I knew just by the way he played, he had like a far trajectory, and I kept my eye on him early on. Like, this guy, I could tell he's trying to get somewhere with that. But the thing about it is that it doesn't have Punk, Shine, Smug, all the NY boys aren't in there, and it just makes it seem so much easier to me, or like actually it seems possible. Because, like I said, everyone in the bracket, none of them look unbeatable to me, and I'm only where I am. But we got people like Mag in there. Watch Mag upset everybody. Watch that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, Mag is really good too. I can definitely see him going really far. There are a couple people who I think could be like upset victories. Just Brian and Dual Kevin are the two I named.
Right.
I remember thinking Brutus could also have like a ton of upset potential, but it looks like Brutus wasn't able to make it to this.
Yeah,
this
no, he's not. Yeah, he's an exciting player. When he's in the bracket and he's got a match coming, you know some shit's about to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, I think Brutus could definitely beat anyone in the bracket, so I was kind of looking forward to seeing him play, but it is what it is.
So outside of Capcom Cup, what do you got going on? Do you have any plans for next year?
Not really. I mean, I am in school at the moment. I'm going to school for aerospace engineering, so that's always like my focus outside of Street Fighter is just continuing to work on that. But honestly, main focus right now is preparing for Capcom Cup, and then after that we'll see what happens. Could be a little bit different because maybe offline tournaments will start coming back after Capcom Cup, who knows. So just kind of focus on Capcom Cup and then going from there.
If you saw this being a tangible way to make a career out of it, would you consider that, or is this never something that you wanted to make into a profession of any kind? If you saw that there was a possibility, say you got cut a big paycheck for maybe a bigger sponsor with a tournament win, is there anything that would make you consider doing that, or you're like, this is not supposed to be a career, I'm trying to get a real job and have this be like my serious hobby?
I don't think I would ever want to make it a career, because for me, making it a career puts a absolute ton of pressure on you, because now you are literally playing this game to survive, basically. Like your entire income is based off of just competing in the game. I think that puts a lot more pressure than I want, because I think part of the reason my mental state is so good right now is just because I play the game. Obviously I play it very seriously. I'm trying to win, but at the end of the day, I am playing it for fun, and that allows me to play freely. It lets me play in whatever way I want, and that's something I really enjoy about competing. So I think I would always want it to be secondary to some other type of career, so that I can just compete in the game and not have to worry about winning or doing anything else, just to get income.
So there's no size of paycheck that a sponsor could give you that can make you think,
I mean, there's probably some size. If they were like, hey, we want to give you this much money, but you gotta put all of your effort into competing, I would definitely think about it.
Yeah. Well, hey, well, thanks for taking the time, Chris, to do that. I wanted to get around to a replay, but maybe we'll just do that some other time, because that was a lot of cool information. I already plugged your YouTube, but are you planning on pushing the content out more? I was just looking at it here. You're still not super frequent. Do you ever plan on taking the content creation a little further?
We'll see. YouTube is hard for me. I'm always so bad at being consistent on YouTube. I do have a consistent stream schedule though. Follow me on, what is my Where's the underscore? There it goes. ChrisCCH underscore on Twitch. That's where I'm definitely the most consistent as far as content goes. But yeah, YouTube I could be a lot more consistent. It's just editing takes a lot of time. So
where's the underscore?
So it's at the end. It's okay. ChrisCCH, then an underscore.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude, this guy's gonna be one of the best players. He's already one of the best in the U.S. But guys, don't be surprised if one day he's considered like top 2, top 3. But anyway, if you need one little bit of advice, I think you're such a good player that if you just used a stream deck to mark all the clips that you have, like cool things that you have in a stream, and then just like pile it all together like I do. I don't know if you see how I do things. I just pile clips together. That way you can just be like a clip machine. And it doesn't. It hardly takes any effort. If you get a stream deck, it has a marker button. You just go boom, 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 and then pile them all together and just throw it out there. I think that would work out pretty well.
Yeah, you might be right. That's something that would be worth starting because that doesn't require much editing, so you can just pump them out really fast, like you said.
Right. All right. Well, thanks again, Chris. Thanks for your time, and man, congratulations again on your recent effort, and good luck at Capcom Cup, man.
Thank you very much.
All right. See ya.
Yep. Peace out.